when you look at the NFL now, I mean, it's a league with a very large number of African-American players. This wasn't the case when Jim played. You had all these old stereotypes. Jim was a dominant black star during this time when there weren't that many black players.
I mean, I was a big Jim Brown fan. I mean, matter of fact, that's why in high school I was number 32, because of Jim Brown.
Jim Brown not only broke rushing records and ran around people and broke tackles, but he also broke down color barriers and stepped forward and was willing to speak up on the behalf of other people at a time where it was not popular.
Whether he was carrying a football for the Cleveland Browns or carrying a message of hope in modern-day America, few people have done it with the power of Jim Brown.
For some final reflections on Jim, it's an honor to bring up his wife of more than a quarter century, Monique Brown.
Thank you all for being here today. This is a beautiful, beautiful event, and I have the honor and privilege of being here to express to you a little bit about my husband. I met Jim almost 30 years ago in Buffalo, New York. We were on a morning show together, and unlikely of pairings, you would say, looking from the outside in, but something that really resonated in my spirit, not knowing anything about football or Jim's movie career at the time, was this man was, as I learned, about him ere I can, this is a man who's dedicated his life to being of service, and not only speaking it, but actually having something quantifiable to leave in people's lives. Jim and I were bonded because of our love for human beings and humanity. And from the very beginning, we were very clear as that was a part of our mission in life. Our life's mission was to be of service. So every day, we travel all over the country, and just being by his side and having him be a champion in my life and learning so much, as you all, anyone who's here knows that when you meet Jim or when you hear Jim speak, there's jewels and gems that you never leave. They stay with you forever. And some of the things that I thought about was, what makes Jim Jim? Jim Brown, I think if I can think of one word to describe him, in a sense, would be an underdog. Jim was born in St. Simon Island, Georgia, didn't have a father, and mother was, away at a very young age, working to provide in the city of Hempstead in New York. So Jim was raised by his great-grandmother and his grandmother, but very much an only child without a father. And I remember one day we were laying down and I said, Jim, you didn't have a father growing up. How did you form the fundamentals around yourself and as a young boy growing up on St. Simon Island? And he said there was one gentleman by the name of Mr. Willis. Mr. Willis had a convenience store, and he was an African-American man with a business in the community. Mr. Willis would talk to the young men and give them a sense of dignity and pride. And he said, Monique, he said, Mr. Willis taught me what it meant to have dignity. He taught me what it meant to be a man. He would give him jobs to do. He would have him groom his beard or just do things around the community. And he was that pillar in St. Simon when Jim was growing up. At the age of, I think it was around 13 or 12, he was sent to live with his mom. His mom sent for him to come to Manhasset, Long Island, where he had a community of men. And they were not your traditional type of men. They weren't African American. They were white men who were very established professionals in the community of Manhasset, Long Island. And they really wrapped their arms around Jim and became like surrogates to him. So throughout his life, Jim had moments where he was told, by all the odds, he should have failed. I mean, he didn't have a father, went to Syracuse University, and where they didn't even want him, they told him he wasn't good enough to play. Jim didn't realize he didn't even have a scholarship It was a community of Manhasset, Long Island, that believed in him so much. They raised money for his first year because they wanted him to be close to them. They wanted to keep their hand on him. He found out he didn't have a scholarship when his meal card didn't work one day at school. So, and not being able to play, to be Jim Brown and be told you're not good enough to get on the field, to sit the bench for your first year. All of those seeds of doubt that could have broken anyone, Jim turned those and had people around him who believed in him. His superintendent, Mr. Collins, his high school football coach, Ed Walsh, those were the people when Jim wanted to quit school. He was going to leave Syracuse because in his mind, he felt broken. And he said, you know, Mr. Collins came up and told me, don't ever let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. And I think more than anything, Jim never let anyone tell him what he could or could not do. He walked the walk, he talked the talk every day. And I feel like when I think about the thread of Jim's life, and I really had a long time to think about this and all the beautiful people that he's brought together. I mean, we've only seen a snippet here today with John Wooten and the Haslam family, Bob Arum, Ray Lewis. I mean, we're just seeing a piece of it. Rudolph Rockhead Johnson. We're just seeing a small piece of really Jim being a catalyst for change. Him being a catalyst for change because he understood what it was like to not have a father, to not have. So walking with Jim every day was an honor for me. Every day we worked and pushed the vision and the movement of American forward. Every moment he would get up, he would never complain. I mean, we're talking we met when Jim was in his 50s, so late 50s to 60s, 70s, and into his 80s. Jim was never one to ever complain, never spoke bad about anyone. And it was so inspiring to be with him. And people say, oh, you know, thank you for taking such good care of Jim. Jim was my best friend. He was my biggest champion. Remember he would say, baby, as bad as you can be, bring it. And I really appreciated that. He had trust in me. He respected me. He listened to me. And the shift of our relationship, because it started where, you know, he was my mentor. And then as I gained wisdom and experience, he shifted and would lean on me more. And I remember him saying, Monique, leaders eat last. Jim led with humanity. He led with strength, uncompromising strength. And I'm just so proud to be here today. I'm so grateful to everyone who's made this day possible, to all the family, all the friends. If you're here, you are family. All the fans that have come up to Jim over the years, it's always been a privilege because every story that you have is a unique experience that you share, and it's so much deeper than football or lacrosse. And I recognize that, and I honor that. So on behalf of our family and myself, I just want to thank the NFL, the Hall of Fame, the Haslam family, the Browns fans and community for making this day so special. Thank you.
First, I wasn't going to let you leave a standing ovation. And secondly, we have a special presentation. Please be seated. Be comfortable for just a couple more minutes. Cap Fendig is with us. Cap is the Glynn County, Georgia Commissioner, and he has a special announcement to make to you, Monique, and the Brown family. Cap, please. There you go.
Well, good afternoon. I'm the guy that nobody knows. And it's a great honor to be here and for this occasion. I'm from St. Simons Island, Georgia. My accent authenticates that's where I'm from. I'm here because of a relationship that I've had with Jim Brown. I'm here because of a relationship out of that that's developed with Monique. And I'm here because St. Simons was where Jim Brown was born. and he loved St. Simon's. And he came back to St. Simon's regularly. And he would tell me, we're going to do something. I'm in my third term as county commissioner, and God has providentially put me in this place and time to help his vision come forward. Because everything that we've talked about tonight, this afternoon, is about Jim Brown's accomplishments in the past. What is going to be his accomplishments in the future? Well, they were working on that plan for St. Simon's. Jim Brown has property there, and Monique have property there. And he had a plan for a place, not a house with a sign on it that said Jim Brown lived here, but a place that would be built that young people could come, have hope, get the training, go on to be a success as God created them, and not experience the past that he had to go through. And that's his vision. And we've been working on that vision on St. Simon's Island to make that come forth. And we're at the threshold to do that. And I'm here to advocate for the future vision of Jim Brown and to challenge each one of you that are here today as his friends, as his associates, and Monique's. Monique should not be left holding to make this project come forth. The land is there. It's next to a great county park that provides the opportunities to do what Jim's vision was. He had one last vision, its own paper. And she cannot be left on her own to carry that out. So I challenge the organization of the NFL, the owners of the Cleveland Brown, his friends that are here, Ray Lewis, who I was sitting next to, and the other people that are here to honor Jim Brown. You honor Jim Brown by telling Monica, you're going to take the reins and you're going to help lead her through and carry the vision that they had together, so that for the next 100 years on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, men and women, young ones, older ones, can come and live and find their full destiny. Will you rise up and help Monique to do that? I'm also county commissioner on St. Simon's in Glenn County. And so bureaucratically and honorably, it's my pleasure from my fellow commissioners a proclamation to present to Monique that embodies all the things that have been told about him tonight, that hopefully will hang in the house, in the place that you will help Monique build on St. Simon's, so that many, many generations will know the living breath and story of Jim Brown, not just his remembrance. Monique, thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just add one quick thing. Cap shared with us that as of today, August 3rd is Jim Brown Day in St. Simon Island, Georgia. So thank you for that.